Hey everybody, welcome back to Whiteboard Finance. My name is Marco and I'm here to help you master your money and build your wealth. In today's video, we're going to talk about the best jobs for the future for 2020 and beyond. The reason I'm making this video is because income is your biggest wealth building tool. So you can be super strategic and super defensive of, cutting coupons and, keeping a budget and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, if you have an income problem, that's going to be your number one problem to building wealth. So to put yourself in a position to succeed, I've come up with this list of pretty much 9 different jobs that are going to grow for 2020 and beyond. So with the rise of artificial intelligence and changes in technology, these are careers you may consider moving into for the long run. I may even consider making a video about jobs that are going to be irrelevant or obsolete 5 to 10 years from now, but that's a topic for another video. So I compiled this list, as I mentioned, based on job growth and earning potential, and you're going to see a lot of common themes in this list. Healthcare, computers. So without further ado, guys, let's get right into the video. So the number one best career for the future, based on numbers and also just what I'm seeing anecdotally in my personal life, is an app developer or a software engineer. So every time you use your smartphone, your tablet, your laptop, your computer, pretty much anything that's running with an operating system and that has applications on it, meaning the programs that you run, you can thank an app developer. So throughout the course of this video, I'm going to keep 3 common themes. We're going to have projected job growth through 2027, okay, percentage-wise. Then we're going to have the median salary, so just money. And then we're going to have education, and I'll just have like 4 years, 6 years, doctorate degree, bachelor's degree, whatever. So for an app developer, the projected job growth through 2027 is going to be roughly 30%, okay? The median salary is $100,000, and the education required is a bachelor's degree. So I did 4+ for 4 years plus of schooling. However, I do know people personally that broke into entry-level positions just based on projects that they've done in their spare time, even though they haven't necessarily had the formal education. You can definitely break into these companies, but you won't reach this number, $100,000, unless you're there for a few years at least. So entry-level developer is probably going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of like 60 grand, depending on where you live. But for just a 4-year degree, or even without a 4-year degree, this is a great number 1. Okay? So, number 2. Number 2 is near and dear to my heart because it is a nurse practitioner. And my wife is actually getting her master's degree right now to become a nurse practitioner. So you're going to see a lot of recurring themes, as I mentioned. You're going to see a lot of tech, a lot of healthcare. That's just because that's where all the jobs and where the demographics are flowing. So more people are getting older and older every day. I think it's 10,000 people in the United States every day turn 60 or older. So as these people get older and older, they're putting pressure on these healthcare systems and on these doctors that are understaffed, basically because there's so many people that need medical attention. So think about it logically. When you're young, you don't necessarily go to the hospital as much as you would if you're older. So with that being said, nurse practitioners are in super high demand, and they're actually going to be filling a lot of the things or the roles that doctors do. They can see patients, they can do check-ins, they can do prescription writing, they can do a lot of stuff. So me and my wife are going to have a blast. I'm going to get those prescriptions written for me, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to take like Adderall and just go 100 miles an hour on this channel. Number 1, number 2, number 3. So anyway, sorry, I'm having too much fun with number 2. So projected job growth through 2027 is roughly 35%, which is huge. This was one of the highest on the list. Median salary is going to be right around $103,000. So we live in the Midwest. This is a very healthy salary for where we live. Knock on wood, maybe I'll be like a stay-at-home dad or something. I'm just kidding. She hates when I say that. I'm always going to work, trust me. And the education, as I mentioned earlier, is a master's. So number 3 is what we call health services manager. So I know this sounds, similar or very ambiguous to pretty much all these other medical terms that you're going to be hearing throughout the course of this video. However, the health services manager, I'll just call it HSM. I don't know if that's the formal abbreviation or not, but we'll just, for the sake of brevity. This position essentially oversees either certain departments within a larger medical organization like a hospital, so they may oversee the surgery department, or they may oversee an entire practice like in nursing home or senior living or any of those types of facilities. So I worked in commercial real estate for 3 years, and we got rid of all of our office buildings and started to build ground up senior living facilities. And this was definitely one of the most advertised for positions because it's hard to fill these positions. So the projected job growth through 2027 is 21%. And again, that all stems back to that aging population that I talked about. Median salary, you're looking at $96,000 a year. That's the median. And then the typical education is 4-year degree, which is a bachelor's degree. So number 4 is a corporate financial manager. So we basically call this FP&A. So let's see, 4, I'll just call it FP&A. This means financial planning and analysis. So instead of being a financial planner for an individual, like someone who you go to see for your personal finances, these are pretty much the financial planners and the analysts that work within a corporation. So the financial managers are in charge of managing a company's risks, maximizing return on investment, and deploying the company's cash wisely. So my friend is actually a finance and accounting recruiter, and he says that these jobs are always in demand and that they're super hot right now. So the projected job growth through 2027 is 19.1%. Median salary is $122 a year, and education can be, I'll call it 4 to 6, because typically you could break into one of these positions with a bachelor's degree, but typically they look for masters. When I browse through kind of like these like career opportunities things, most employers are asking for a master's degree for a financial manager. Number 5 is what we call a computer systems manager. So if you think about it logically, most businesses, I'd say 90% of businesses now have to run on computers, whether it's a point of touch sales system, whether it's a network, whether it's a database that contains all your customers' information. This computer systems manager is basically the person in charge of the computers or the technology of the organization. So this makes this position a very high demand just because every business pretty much needs this in one way or another. But on the big corporate level, this is what I'm talking about here. So ultimately, these people plan, coordinate, and direct all the IT of an organization, and the projected job growth is 14.4%. The median salary is right around $138,000. And then the education required is a bachelor's degree, but you do need at least 5 to 10 years of experience working in that corporate culture. You can't just get a job like this right out of school. It's very difficult, unless your dad owns the company, and that's always a plus. But my name's not Brad or Chad, so that's not going to work out here. So with all this being said, you do have to have how do I say this, experience in that corporate world, typically within your organization, because they want people who have been with the organization managing this kind of stuff, so they're familiar with the ecosystem. And also, this is a good track to becoming basically a COO or basically a CIO, which is a Chief Information Officer. Number 6 is kind of piggybacking off of the CSM. Number 6 is basically the people that are running the information security, or people that are like security analysts. So we'll call this like IT security. Okay. So my buddy actually does this. So he works, well, I can't say who he works for. It's just a big government agency that flies into space. So he does the IT security for them. So to piggyback off of what I just said, you obviously have computers that are implemented in most businesses now. Obviously, those computers are at risk of being hacked, okay? So you have banks, financial institutions, healthcare companies. These are big employers of IT security analysts. So protecting clients' data and patients' data is obviously an example of this. Which is huge business going back to the aging population. Hospitals are just going to have more and more patients as time goes on. So the projected job growth is pretty high at 27%. The median salary is $95,000, but can definitely go higher than that. I've seen it personally. And then the education required is a bachelor's degree with 4 years. Going back to healthcare, number 7 is physician assistant. So this is a PA. So this isn't necessarily a doctor. These people are a little bit smarter, in my opinion, because They don't go through all the training with medical school and all the student loans and all the headache that it takes to become a doctor. These are kind of like doctor light, meaning that they avoided all the cost and time of going to med school, but they're still definitely a vital part of the medical team. So they're similar to nurse practitioners in the fact that they can diagnose, treat patients, and write prescriptions. And the projected job growth through 2027 is very high at 35%. Definitely going to be a need there. And again, going back to that aging population paradigm. Median salary is $105,000 a year, and then the schooling is definitely a master's degree. So we're looking at like 6+ years of school for this. So the PA, I know a girl. I know this sounds like one of those videos where I know a guy, I know a girl. You know, I sound like that guy. I really do. These are people that are close friends of mine. She said that this was a great decision, becoming a PA, because of all the financial things that I mentioned. They have good salary. It definitely goes up from here, especially if you live in a city with a lot of good hospitals. Here in Cleveland, we have the Cleveland Clinic, which is, you know, world renowned. And then we also have a lot of other government hospitals as well. So she was very happy with this decision, and I know someone personally that went this route. If you want to stay in the medical field and you don't want to have all the schooling, you can definitely be this, and this is a registered nurse, okay? So registered nurses are probably one of the most underappreciated workers, in my opinion. I didn't know this until I married my wife. My wife is an RN, her mom's an RN, her dad's an RN, half her family's in the medical field, okay? And these are all just very hard workers. I have the utmost respect for registered nurses. So nurses are actually the 5th largest of all occupations in the United States, and it's still growing like crazy. So it's challenging work. People are going to treat you very poorly, just the way they talk to you. But in my opinion, it's very rewarding based on all the stuff that my wife tells me about it. So the projected job growth through 2027 is 16%. The median salary, we're looking at $69,000. They start off, I'd say, in the Midwest, right around like 50, 55, and then they get up to this, 69, 70 grand pretty quickly after that. And then finally, you need a bachelor's degree, and they're starting to mandate this. Before, you can become a nurse with just 2 years with an associate. Now, at least where my wife works, they're requiring 4 years. And then finally, number 9, sticking in the vein of, you guessed it, healthcare. Number 9 is dental hygienist, okay? So dental hygienist is basically the person that you see before the dentist. They're the one that cleans your teeth, they take your x-rays, they kind of get you comfortable before the dentist does his thing. They kind of educate you on proper care as well. The nice thing about this is that it's much lower cost than dental school and still a very solid median pay, okay? So the job growth for a dental hygienist is 20% through 2027. Median salary is $74,000, and the schooling, believe it or not, is actually just an associate's degree, okay? So you have to get certified and all that stuff, but it's about 2 to 3 years, and you're making a very good median pay. So there you have it, everybody. Those were 9 jobs for the future that I think will do well, and if you want to increase your income and build your wealth, those are definitely 9 solid careers to look into. So some of you may not be computer savvy, some of you may not be tech savvy or health savvy, but those are definitely 2 strong industries that are here to stay. I would hate to see some of my viewers, become like a cobbler, people that repair shoes and stuff like that. Even though those are very honorable jobs, they just seem to be going by the wayside because, society is not valuing those skills anymore, whether that's right or wrong. So at the end of the day, don't get into a dead-end job. Don't become, a customer service person on the telephone. Don't become a cashier. Those things are not bad jobs, but those are going to be automated. It's simple as that. It's inevitable. So it's kind of like the person that was the blacksmith that made the horseshoes that got, irrelevant once cars came around. So at the end of the day, you have to be smart. You have to treat your career kind of like a business, meaning that you have to adjust for the times. So with all that being said, if you got value out of this video, please share it with a friend. Please subscribe and give it a like if you haven't already. And at the end of the day, you guys have a prosperous day. Oh, and real quick, sign up for my free newsletter. There's a freebie that comes out 24 hours after signing up. Link in the description below. Have a prosperous day. Peace.